My beloved brothers and sisters, many of us lose sleep not because of what has happened, but because of what might happen. We replay the past, we live the future, and in the process we miss the gift of the present. This is called overthinking. And it is one of the biggest thieves of our peace. Yes, plan. Yes, prepare. Yes, make an effort. But once you have done your part, leave the rest to the Almighty. Because when you start to calculate every outcome, every what if, every possibility, you will drown in your own thoughts. Life was never meant to be lived inside endless scenarios. Life was meant to be lived with tawakkul, trust in Allah. Remember, life is a test. If everything was in your control, there would be no test. The Almighty reminds us, indeed, with hardship comes ease. Not once, but twice in the same surah. Why? To emphasize that ease is guaranteed. You may not see it now, but He has already written it for you. Stop carrying the weight of the past. It's gone. Stop fearing the future. It's unseen. Focus on where you are now. The Almighty is with you now. When your heart feels heavy, don't sit and overthink. Get up. Pray 2 units of salah. Raise your hands in dua. Say, "Oh Allah, I leave this matter in your hands," and you will feel that burden lift, because it was never your burden to carry in the first place. Be grateful. Count your blessings. You will realize you already have far more than what you are worrying about. Gratitude is a medicine for the restless heart. So, my brothers and sisters, trust Allah. Overthinking will not change your tomorrow, but trusting Allah will. Worrying will not bring solutions, but faith will open doors you never imagined. Walk through life with conviction. If Allah has written it for you, it will reach you even if the entire world tries to block it. And if it was not written for you, then even if the whole world pushes it your way, it will never reach you. So breathe, smile, trust Allah, stop overthinking, and let your heart find peace in His plan. Overthinking is something so many of us struggle with, yet we hardly realize how much damage it causes within us. You sit down, something small happens in your life, and suddenly your mind runs in 10 different directions. A single comment from someone becomes an entire storyline in your head. One delay in your plans becomes a nightmare you replay over and over. Overthinking makes tiny issues feel like mountains and ordinary challenges feel like disasters. In reality, the issue may be small, but your mind has inflated it until you can no longer see clearly. This is why overthinking is a thief of peace. It steals from you silently, and often you don't even notice until you are exhausted and restless. When you overthink, you aren't actually solving problems. You're rehearsing pain. You're replaying what went wrong and imagining what might go wrong, and you call it being careful or cautious, but in reality, you are just draining yourself. Your heart feels heavier, your sleep becomes difficult, and your body feels tense because your mind refuses to let go. Peace is supposed to live inside you, but when you overthink, you invite worry to take over that space. The Almighty has designed life in such a way that you cannot control everything. You can plan, you can prepare, but you can never control every detail. Overthinking is your attempt to control what was never yours to control. That's why it makes you so restless. Imagine trying to hold water in your fist. The tighter you grip, the more it slips through your fingers. That's what overthinking does. The more you hold on to a thought, the more unsettled you become. Because peace cannot live where there is an obsession with control. Many times, the things we overthink about never even happen. How often have you lost sleep fearing something only to realize later it wasn't worth the worry at all? You wasted days and nights imagining scenarios that never unfolded. This is why overthinking is not just a thief of peace, it is also a thief of time. It robs you of the moments you could have spent smiling, being productive, enjoying your family, or remembering your Lord. Instead, it traps you in a prison of your own thoughts. The Prophet Muhammad taught us to seek refuge from worries about the future and grief about the past. Why? Because these are the two main triggers of overthinking. The past is gone, but we replay it endlessly, thinking we could change it. The future is unseen, but we live it with fear, imagining disasters that may never come. You can't change yesterday, and you can't control tomorrow. All you truly have is today, this moment right now, and if you fill today with endless thoughts, you lose the only time you were actually given. Sometimes we even justify our overthinking by saying, I'm just being careful. I'm just preparing myself. But there's a difference between preparation and overthinking. Preparation is healthy. You make a plan, you take precautions, you do your part. Overthinking is when you never stop planning, never stop analyzing, never stop imagining until you paralyze yourself and do nothing at all. Preparation brings clarity, but overthinking brings confusion. Peace of mind doesn't come from figuring everything out. It comes from letting go after you've done your best. The Almighty never asked you to solve every detail of your life. He asked you to try to trust Him and to be patient. Overthinking happens when you want certainty before it's time. But faith means moving forward even when the road ahead is foggy. Faith means saying, I don't know how this will turn out, but I know my Lord is with me. That mindset brings peace, while overthinking steals it away. If you reflect, you'll realize that overthinking also damages relationships. Sometimes someone doesn't reply to your message, and suddenly you create 10 different reasons in your mind, most of them negative. They don't care about me anymore. They must be upset with me. You waste energy worrying when in reality, maybe their phone battery died. Maybe they're busy. Maybe it's something entirely unrelated. But overthinking makes you see enemies where there are none, problems where none exist, and distance where there is closeness. You burden your heart with assumptions instead of giving others the benefit of the doubt. Even in worship, overthinking steals from us. When you stand in prayer, your mind is full of scenarios, worries, endless thoughts. Instead of finding peace in salah, you walk away feeling even heavier. Why? Because you allowed overthinking to follow you into your conversation with Allah. But if you pause and remind yourself, right now, my Lord is listening to me, right now, nothing else matters, you silence those unnecessary thoughts and rediscover tranquility. So many people live half their lives in regrets about yesterday and the other half in fear of tomorrow. Very few live fully in today. Overthinking ensures you never enjoy where you are because you're either stuck in the past or trapped in the future. But life is happening now. Your children are growing now. Your health is functioning now. Your opportunities are alive now. Don't let your mind steal what your Lord has given you in this moment. Overthinking is indeed a thief of peace. It disguises itself as caution, as problem solving, but it delivers only sleepless nights and restless days. The solution is not to think less, but to think wisely, to redirect your thoughts to what you can actually do, and then surrender the rest to the one who controls everything. That surrender is not weakness, it is the most powerful act of faith. Because when you trust Allah with the matters you cannot control, you take back the peace that overthinking has stolen from you. Life is a test. This is something we hear often. Yet when we are in the middle of hardship or uncertainty, we forget it. We begin to wonder why things are not going smoothly, why challenges keep coming, why we are not getting what we want immediately. But if we remind ourselves that the Almighty already told us this world is an examination, we would understand that difficulties are not strange, they are not punishments in every case, they are part of the very design of life. Just as a student expects to face questions in an exam, we too should expect to face questions in our journey. Those questions come in the form of ease and hardship, blessings and struggles, joy and sadness, health and sickness, gain and loss. Each one of them is a test. When everything seems to go our way, that too is a test. Will you remain humble? Will you thank the one who gave you? Will you share with others? Will you recognize that the gift belongs to Him and not you? And when things seem to fall apart, that is also a test. Will you be patient? Will you keep faith? Will you continue to pray? Will you hold on to hope? In both situations, the real question is the same. Will you remember your Lord or will you forget Him? Sometimes we think of tests only as disasters, but in reality, wealth is a test, fame is a test, comfort is a test, just as much as poverty or sickness are. Some people fail in ease because they forget Allah, while others pass in hardship because they remain patient and turn back to Him. The Almighty reminds us again and again in the Quran that He created life and death in order to test which of us is best in deeds. It's not about who lives the longest, who has the most, or who looks the happiest. It's about who keeps their connection with Him alive through it all. When we recognize life as a test, our perspective changes. Instead of asking, why me? We begin to say, what is this teaching me? How can I respond in a way that pleases Allah? If a student gets a tough question in the exam, they don't throw away the paper and leave the room. They try, they think, they do their best. In the same way, when life presents you with a challenge, don't think your Lord has abandoned you. It's simply a question placed on your paper, and your reaction will be the answer. Many people compare their lives with others and think, why do they have it easy while I struggle? But you don't see their paper. You don't know what they are being tested with behind closed doors. Every person has a unique exam. Some questions are visible, some are hidden. To envy someone else's life is like wishing for their exam paper without knowing what questions it contains. The truth is, you are only given what you can handle. The Almighty promises that He does not burden a soul more than it can bear. So if something has come your way, it means you are capable of passing that test, even if right now you feel weak. There are people who cry at night, asking why things keep going wrong, not realizing that their patience, their tears, their prayers are already answers being written on their test paper. On the day of judgment, those very struggles will shine as evidence of their faith. Sometimes the Almighty withholds something from you because it is not good for you or not good for you yet. That waiting, that delay is a test of whether you trust His timing more than your own. Think of the prophets, peace be upon them all. Each one faced tremendous tests. Some were rejected by their own people. Some were thrown into fire. Some were exiled. Some were tested with poverty. Some with illness. Some with the loss of family members. Yet not once did they say, this is unfair. They understood the nature of life. They knew that ease will come, but only after patience. Their stories are preserved to remind us that tests are not a sign of Allah's anger, but often a sign of His love, because He wants to raise your rank, purify you, and bring you closer to Him. Life's tests are temporary, but the rewards for passing them are eternal. Imagine a student complaining during a 3-hour exam, forgetting that the degree they earn will last a lifetime. Similarly, the tests of this world are brief compared to the eternal life to come. If you bear them with faith, you will enjoy peace forever. If you fail them by losing hope, doubting your Lord, or giving up on prayer, then you may lose both peace in this world and the next. Sometimes the smallest inconveniences are tests too. The way you respond when someone cuts you off in traffic, the way you react when a family member annoys you, the way you handle delays and disappointments, all of these moments are mini exams. They might seem insignificant, but they shape your heart. Every time you choose patience over anger, gratitude over complaint, trust over worry, you are rating the right answer on your exam paper. So when hardship comes, remind yourself life is a test. When blessings come, remind yourself life is a test. This perspective doesn't remove the challenge, but it gives you strength. It stops you from overthinking, from despairing, from comparing yourself to others. It grounds you in the reality that your goal is not to escape tests, but to pass them with faith. Tawakkul is one of the most beautiful qualities a believer can develop. It means placing your trust in Allah after you have done your part. Too often, people confuse tawakkul with laziness, thinking that trusting Allah means sitting back and doing nothing. But that is not trust, that is negligence. True tawakkul is when you take the means available to you, you make your effort sincerely, and then you leave the results to Allah with a heart at peace, knowing that He will never let you down. In life, you will find that there are things within your control and things far beyond it. Your job is to do what is within your control and to trust Allah with what is beyond it. For example, if you are seeking work, you prepare your CV, you apply, you attend the interview, but you cannot control the hearts of the employers. You cannot dictate the outcome. That is where tawakkul comes in. You say, oh Allah, I have tried. I leave the result in your hands. And that brings peace, because you know that if it is good for you, Allah will grant it. And if it is not, He will protect you from it. The problem arises when people want to control what they cannot. They plan endlessly, they stress over results, they overthink, and when things do not go their way, they feel crushed. But if they had tawakkul, they would realize that even a closed door is a form of mercy. Sometimes Allah withholds something you desire because it is harmful for you in ways you cannot see. And sometimes He delays it because the timing is not right. Tawakkul helps you accept that His wisdom is greater than your desire. Think of the bird that leaves its nest in the morning. It does not sit waiting for food to fall into its beak. It flies, it searches, it struggles, but it never knows exactly where its sustenance will come from. Yet every evening it returns with its provision. This is the example given in the sayings of the Prophet to describe tawakkul. You go out, you try, you work, but your heart rests in Allah's promise that your provision is guaranteed. When you live with tawakkul, you do not become reckless, nor do you become anxious. You strike a balance, you put your effort in place, but you refuse to carry the burden of outcomes. That burden belongs only to Allah. How many times in life have you worried about something only to later realize that it worked out better than you planned? How many times have you been disappointed, but later you saw that what you received instead was far greater? This is what tawakkul teaches you. Do not tie your peace to results, tie your peace to Allah's wisdom. There is a verse in the Quran that says, "And whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him." Imagine that the Creator of the heavens and the earth promises to be sufficient for the one who truly relies on Him. What greater assurance can there be? If Allah is with you, what can harm you? If He is sufficient for you, why should you drown in worry? Tawakkul is not only about trusting that Allah will give you what you want. It is about trusting that He will give you what is best, even if it is different from what you had in mind. Sometimes tawakkul is tested most in hardship. You may face illness and wonder, why me? But tawakkul tells you to take treatment, to seek help, and at the same time to accept that your cure is in the hands of Allah. You may face financial struggle, but tawakkul reminds you that provision is from Allah, not from your employer or your business. You may face uncertainty about the future, but tawakkul assures you that nothing can touch you except what Allah has written for you, and whatever He has written will ultimately be for your good if you remain patient and faithful. Tawakkul also brings courage. People who trust Allah are not paralyzed by fear of failure. They know that success is not in their control, but effort is. So they try with sincerity and they walk forward with confidence, not because they are sure of their own ability, but because they are sure of Allah's support. That confidence makes life lighter. Instead of being weighed down by anxiety, they carry themselves with calmness because their trust is in the one who never fails. One of the biggest lessons of tawakkul is to understand that what is meant for you will never miss you, and what is not meant for you will never reach you, no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you overthink. You cannot change that decree. But by trusting Allah, you accept that His decree is not against you, it is for you. Even when it hurts, it is part of your journey to something greater. This is why those with tawakkul live with a sense of inner peace that others envy. They don't panic over closed doors because they know the one who controls doors. They don't despair over delays because they know the one who controls time. In moments of difficulty, tawakkul is the rope you hold on to. When your efforts don't seem to bear fruit, you remind yourself, my Lord is with me. He sees my struggle. He hears my prayers. He will never waste my effort. That certainty allows you to breathe when life feels heavy, and it reminds you that you are never alone. One of the greatest sources of stress for people is that they are either living in the past or drowning in the future. Very few people truly live in the moment. Yet the truth is simple: the past is gone and the future is unseen. You cannot change yesterday no matter how much you regret, and you cannot guarantee tomorrow no matter how much you plan. What you truly have is today, this very moment, and if you waste it in endless thoughts about what you cannot control, you lose the gift that Allah has given you. The past can be heavy. Many people carry regrets, mistakes, losses, and hurts from years ago. They replay those moments again and again as if replaying could undo them. But the Almighty has told us that He is Al-Ghafur, the most forgiving, and Ar-Rahim, the most merciful. If you turn to Him sincerely, He can wipe away the stains of your past. Holding on to guilt endlessly is not humility. It is a trick of Shaitan to keep you stuck. Yes, learn from your mistakes. Yes, seek forgiveness. But once you have done that, move on. Do not allow yesterday to destroy your today. You are not the same person you were back then. Every sunrise is a new chance from Allah, a fresh page, an opportunity to start again. Some people hold on to the pain others caused them in the past. They replay every word, every betrayal, every disappointment. And in doing so, they continue to hurt themselves long after the event is over. The person who wronged you may have moved on, but you are still chained to that memory because you refuse to let it go. Forgiveness is not about saying what happened was okay. It is about freeing your heart so you can live in peace. When you forgive, you are not doing a favor to the one who hurt you. You are doing a favor to yourself. The past is gone. Let it go. Then there are those who live in the future worrying about what will or will not happen. They imagine scenarios of loss, failure, rejection, disaster. They live today as if tomorrow has already gone wrong. But tomorrow is unseen. You do not own it. You do not even know if you will reach it. How many times have we seen people planning for years ahead only for their life to end suddenly? And how many times have we seen people worrying endlessly only for life to turn out far better than they expected? Worrying does not change the future. It only steals the joy of the present. The Prophet taught us not to say, if only I had done this, then that would have happened, because such words open the door to Shaitan. Instead, we say, Qadr Allah wa ma sha'al. Allah decreed and He does what He wills. This attitude saves you from drowning in regret or fear. You do what you can, but you do not torment yourself with what ifs about the past or endless what ifs about the future. Focusing on the present is a form of faith. It is an acknowledgement that Allah is with you right now. When you stand in prayer, you are not in yesterday or tomorrow. You are standing before your Lord in this moment. If your mind is elsewhere, you miss the sweetness of Salah. Similarly, in life, if your heart is stuck in yesterday or running ahead to tomorrow, you miss the blessings around you today. Your children grow, your opportunities pass, your moments slip away, all while you are busy living in a time that doesn't exist. There is a verse in the Quran where Allah says, do not grieve over what has passed, nor be distressed by what is to come. The reminder is clear. Grief about the past and anxiety about the future are distractions. What matters is how you live now. If you are grateful now, if you are patient now, if you are mindful now, then you are fulfilling your duty. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Think about the mercy of Allah in not allowing us to see the future. If you could see every detail of what is to come, you would lose the motivation to try, or you would drown in fear. By hiding the future from us, Allah gives us hope. And by closing the door on the past, He gives us mercy. He allows us to focus on today, the only time we actually live in. So many of our problems come from ignoring this truth. A person spends hours regretting a mistake instead of using those same hours to make a better choice today. Another spends hours worrying about tomorrow's provision instead of trusting the one who has already provided every day of their life until now. If you think about it, your entire existence is a chain of present moments. Yesterday, when you lived it, it was a present. Tomorrow, when you reach it, it will also be a present. The only time you actually live is the present. So why abandon it for shadows of the past and illusions of the future? When you let go of yesterday and stop fearing tomorrow, your heart finds calmness. You begin to notice the blessings around you. You see the sunlight, you hear the laughter of your loved ones, you taste the sweetness of your food, you appreciate the breath in your lungs. You remember Allah with sincerity because your mind is not distracted. This is how peace is found, not in controlling time, but in living with contentment in the time you are given. Every human being carries worries. It might be about health, about money, about family, about the future, or about mistakes from the past. Sometimes those worries grow so heavy that they sit on your chest like a weight you cannot remove. You try to distract yourself. You try to talk it out, but deep inside the anxiety remains. That is because the heart was not designed to carry its burdens alone. The heart was created to hand those burdens over to its creator. And the way we do that is through dua and salah. Dua is one of the greatest gifts Allah has given us. Imagine being told by the King of Kings, call upon me and I will respond to you. There is no appointment needed, no waiting in line, no condition of status or wealth. At any time of the day or night, whether you whisper or cry out loud, your Lord hears you. He listens, He knows, and He responds in the way that is best. When you raise your hands and pour your heart out, you are literally handing over your worries. You are saying, oh, Allah, this is too much for me, but it is nothing for you. And in that moment, your heart feels lighter because you know you are no longer carrying the weight alone. Salah is the other powerful tool, and it is far more than a ritual. It is the direct meeting between you and the one who controls everything. When the call to prayer is announced, it is as if you are being invited to put down your burdens for a while and find peace. You stand, you recite words of praise, you bow, you prostrate. But beyond the motions, if you allow yourself to be present, you will find that salah is the safest place for your worries. In sujood, when your head touches the ground, you are at your lowest physically, yet spiritually you are at your highest. It is the most intimate position where you are closest to Allah. And that is the moment to let go of what is breaking your heart. Too often people treat dua and salah as last resorts when they should be our first response. Something happens and we spend hours overthinking, talking to others, researching, panicking, before finally remembering, let me make dua. But why not start there? Why not immediately turn to the one who has power over every matter? The Prophet A taught us that dua is the weapon of the believer. A weapon is not meant to be stored away for emergencies only. It is meant to be carried, used, relied upon because it gives you strength in every battle. One of the reasons dua and salah bring relief is that they remind you of who is in control. Worries grow heavy when you think everything depends on you. You think, what if I fail? What if I cannot manage? What if things don't work out? But when you pray, you remember that success is from Allah, provision is from Allah, health is from Allah, protection is from Allah. You realize you are not the one holding the world together. You are a servant and your job is to call upon your master, to trust him and to carry on with patience. There is incredible comfort in knowing that your words do not disappear into the air. Every dua you make is heard. Sometimes the answer is immediate. Sometimes it is delayed. Sometimes Allah gives you something better in place of what you asked. And sometimes He saves your dua as a reward for you in the hereafter, where you will be astonished by its value. In all cases, no dua is wasted. That certainty allows you to offload your heart fully. You don't have to hold back. You don't have to edit your words. Speak to Allah exactly as you feel and trust that He knows what is hidden between your words and even what you cannot express. When it comes to salah, many people see it as an obligation, a duty, which it is, but it is also a gift. 5 times a day, you are told to pause from the chaos of life, to disconnect from the world and reconnect with your Lord. Those are 5 opportunities to reset your heart, to release your stress, to remember that whatever is troubling you is tiny compared to the greatness of Allah. If you treat salah as a meeting with the one who loves you most, you will begin to look forward to it because you will taste the peace it brings. Think about how you feel after a heartfelt conversation with a close friend. You feel lighter, as if some of the burden has been shared. Now imagine speaking not to a human, but to the one who has infinite power, infinite mercy, infinite love. That is what dua and salah are. They are not just spiritual duties, they are therapy for the soul. When you face difficulties, your instinct may be to overthink, to panic, to complain. But if you train yourself to turn first to Allah in dua and salah, you will find that life becomes easier to bear. The problems may not disappear instantly, but your heart will find calmness because you know you are under the care of the one who never abandons his servants. When life feels heavy, one of the greatest sources of comfort is to remind yourself of the promises of Allah. These are not the words of men that can fail. These are the words of the Creator Himself, words that are timeless, unchanging, and always fulfilled. Among the most powerful of these promises is the one we recite so often in Surah Ash-Shah. Indeed, with hardship comes ease. The verse is so important that it is repeated twice, almost as if to drill the message into our hearts. It is not after hardship comes ease, but with hardship comes ease. That means the moment a difficulty enters your life, its ease has already been created alongside it. This promise changes the way you see struggles. You may not see the ease right away, but Allah assures you it is there. It might come in the form of strength you didn't know you had. It might come in the form of supportive people around you. It might come in the form of lessons that shape your character, or it might come later as relief after a long period of patience. Either way, ease is written with the hardship, not separate from it. The human mind often magnifies difficulty. You face one problem and suddenly you imagine 10 more attached to it. You lose your job and your thoughts jump to losing your home, your dignity, your future. But the promise of Allah reminds you to calm your heart. Yes, the test is real, but so is the ease. You may not know how it will unfold, but you know the one who promised it never breaks his word. That certainty alone is a form of ease because it stops your thoughts from spiraling into despair. When you look at the stories of the prophets, peace be upon them, you see this promise in action. Prophet Yusuf was thrown into a well by his brothers, sold as a slave and imprisoned unjustly. Yet with every hardship came ease. From the well, he was saved. From slavery, he was granted honor. From prison, he was elevated to a position of power. The hardship was real, but so was the ease. And in the end, the promise of Allah was fulfilled in ways beyond imagination. The same happened to Prophet Musa, who stood trapped between the sea and the army of Pharaoh. In human terms, it was hopeless. But with hardship came ease. The sea was split and a way was made where no way seemed possible. The lesson is clear. Never limit your hope to what you can see. The ease of Allah may come from places you could never predict. Even in your own life, if you reflect, you will see times when you thought you would not make it through, but you did. You thought the pain would never end, but it did. You thought you would never smile again, but you did. At that time, you may not have seen the ease, but now looking back, you can recognize it. This is why remembering Allah's promises is so important. It strengthens your faith not only for the future, but also helps you reinterpret your past. Sometimes people misunderstand the promise of ease and expect that their hardship will vanish instantly. But the verse does not say that the difficulty will be removed the moment you ask. It says ease comes with it. That ease may be the patience Allah plants in your heart. It may be the resilience that grows inside you. It may be the closeness to Allah that you never would have achieved without the trial. These are forms of ease that you may overlook if you only measure ease by worldly outcomes. There is another promise in the Quran that complements this one. Allah does not burden a soul more than it can bear. This means whatever you are going through, you are equipped to handle it. Even if you feel otherwise, that strength you need is already inside you, placed there by Allah. Sometimes the test is the very thing that awakens strengths you never knew you had. You may not see yourself as patient until patience is demanded from you. You may not see yourself as strong until strength is your only option. In this way, the promise of ease is fulfilled through your growth. When you remember Allah's promises, you live with hope. And hope is not a small thing. Hope is what keeps you moving when everything else pushes you to stop. Hope is what allows you to smile even with tears in your eyes. Hope is what keeps your heart connected to your Lord when your mind is full of questions. That is why despair is so dangerous. It blinds you to the ease that is already written for you. The believer's heart is trained to see both sides, the trial and the mercy, the pain and the relief, the struggle and the growth. Without the promise of Allah, life would feel like an endless chain of difficulties. But with His promise, every difficulty becomes a stepping stone, every tear becomes a prayer, every setback becomes a setup for something better. So the next time life feels overwhelming, pause and remind yourself, the one who created you has promised you ease. It may not come in the way you expect. It may not come in the timing you want. but it is already written alongside your hardship. Trust His word more than you trust your fears. One of the most powerful remedies for the restless heart is gratitude. When you train yourself to focus on what you have instead of what you lack, your perspective shifts and your worries begin to shrink. Gratitude does not erase challenges, but it changes the way you face them. It turns a heavy heart into a hopeful one, and it reminds you that even in difficulty, blessings surround you. The Almighty tells us in the Quran, "If you are grateful, I will surely increase you." This is a divine promise. Gratitude brings increase, not only in material blessings, but also in inner contentment, peace. A person who constantly complains may have a great deal, but will feel like they have nothing. On the other hand, a person who is grateful may have little, but will feel like they have everything. Gratitude is not about counting what you don't have. It is about recognizing what you already do. Often we overlook the simplest blessings because they are always there. The fact that you woke up this morning is a blessing. The fact that your heart beats without your command, your lungs breathe without your instruction, your body functions in ways you never think about. All of this is a mercy from Allah. Imagine if you had to control each heartbeat consciously or remember every breath. You would never be able to live. Yet Allah has taken care of all of this without you lifting a finger. Just reflecting on your body alone is enough to fill you with endless gratitude. When you are troubled, gratitude acts as medicine. You might be going through financial stress, but if you focus on your health, your family, your faith, and the small comforts you still enjoy, your heart finds relief. You might be dealing with loss, but if you focus on the memories you had, the lessons you learned, the people who still support you, you realize that Allah did not leave you empty. Gratitude does not deny pain, but it ensures pain does not blind you to the good that still exists. The Prophet A lived a life of gratitude. Even when his circumstances were difficult, his nights were spent in prayer, thanking Allah until his feet swelled. When asked why he pushed himself so much despite being forgiven for all his sins, he replied, "Shall I not be a grateful servant?" Gratitude was not just words on his lips, it was a state of his heart. It shaped his actions, his worship, and his outlook on life. Gratitude is not limited to saying, "Alhamdulillah," with your tongue, though that is powerful. True gratitude is shown in your behavior. If you are grateful for wealth, you spend it in ways that please Allah. If you are grateful for health, you use it to serve and to worship. If you are grateful for time, you do not waste it in meaningless pursuits. Gratitude is reflected in how you use what you have been given. When people focus only on what is missing, they magnify their sadness. You may have 10 blessings, but if you obsess over the one thing you lack, you will feel deprived. This is how Shaitan distracts the heart. He wants you to forget the 99 favors and complain about the one thing you don't have. Gratitude is the weapon that defeats this mindset. It forces you to shift your attention back to the abundance around you. It makes you realize that even in the middle of hardship, Allah has given you more than you could ever count. Think of a person who loses their job. If they only focus on that loss, they will drown in worry. But if they also acknowledge that they still have their family, their skills, their faith, their health, and their Lord who provides, they will see hope. Gratitude opens the door to optimism, and optimism drives action. Instead of collapsing under the weight of loss, the grateful heart rises with faith that Allah will open new doors. Gratitude also heals relationships. When you constantly point out what is wrong with others, you create bitterness. But when you focus on their good qualities, thank them for their efforts, and appreciate their presence, love grows. Even within families, a simple thank you or I appreciate you can transform hearts. This too is part of gratitude, not only thanking Allah, but also acknowledging the means through which His blessings reach you. The more grateful you are, the more at peace you become. Gratitude makes you stop chasing endless desires. It teaches you contentment. You may still aim for improvement, but you are no longer desperate because your heart already feels full. That fullness is what people search for in wealth, fame, and status, but many never find it because they skip the key gratitude. Sometimes we think gratitude is only for big things. A new job, a healed illness, a major blessing. But the truth is, the habit of gratitude is built in the small daily things. Waking up on time, eating a meal, sharing a laugh, being safe at home, hearing good news from a loved one, all of these deserve alhamdulillah. When you build gratitude for the small, you will naturally be grateful for the big. Gratitude is not just a remedy for sadness, it is a shield against envy. When you are grateful, you stop comparing your life to others because you realize that what you have is enough. You stop asking, why don't I have what they have? And start saying, alhamdulillah for what is mine. That shift saves your heart from jealousy and resentment. The more you practice gratitude, the more you will see blessings where others see none. You will recognize mercy in the middle of pain, opportunity in the middle of loss, light in the middle of darkness. Gratitude doesn't change your situation, it changes you. And when you change, your situation often follows. Faith is one of the greatest sources of calmness a person can ever experience. Life is full of uncertainty, and uncertainty by its very nature makes people anxious. You do not know what tomorrow will bring. You do not know what is happening behind the scenes. You do not know how long your ease will last or how deep your trial will be. Without faith, this lack of control feels terrifying. But with faith, that same uncertainty becomes bearable, even comforting, because you trust the one who knows while you do not. Faith is like a soft blanket over the restless heart, assuring you that no matter how stormy the night, the dawn will come by the permission of Allah. People often try to find calm through control. They think, if I plan every detail, if I prepare for every possibility, I will not be anxious. But the truth is, no matter how much you prepare, life will always surprise you. Faith does not promise to give you control, but it gives you something far greater. It gives you surrender. It teaches you that you do not need to control everything because you are held by the one who already does. This surrender is not weakness, it is strength, because it frees you from carrying a burden too heavy for human shoulders. When you have faith, even hardship feels different. It is not that the pain disappears, but the meaning behind the pain changes. You begin to see trials as opportunities for growth, for forgiveness, for elevation in the sight of Allah. You remind yourself that every tear is witnessed, every moment of patience is recorded, every difficulty carries reward. With this mindset, what could crush another person leaves you standing firm because your heart whispers, "My Lord is with me." That whisper is enough to calm storms inside you. Faith is what allows a person to face the unknown without collapsing. When others say, "What if this happens? What if that happens?" Faith answers, "Whatever happens, Allah's plan is better than mine." That certainty silences endless what ifs. It replaces fear with trust. It is not about denying the danger or pretending difficulties do not exist. It is about acknowledging them while holding on to the rope of Allah, knowing you are never alone. The Quran reminds us that hearts find rest in the remembrance of Allah. This is not poetic language, it is reality. When you connect with your Creator, your heart softens, your breathing slows, your thoughts settle. You realize that your life is not random, that every moment has purpose, that even what you do not understand has wisdom behind it. That realization is calming in a way nothing else can provide. People seek calm in wealth, in entertainment, in distractions, but true calm only comes when the heart is anchored in faith. Think of a ship sailing on rough waters. Without an anchor, it drifts wherever the waves push it, tossed around endlessly. But with an anchor, it holds steady despite the storm. Faith is that anchor for the soul. Without it, you are at the mercy of every worry, every fear, every bad thought. With it, you remain steady because your anchor is tied to the Creator of the seas themselves. Faith also brings calm because it shifts your focus from outcomes to effort. Anxiety often comes from obsessing about results. Will I succeed? Will I fail? Will this plan work? But faith teaches you that results belong to Allah alone. Your duty is to make effort sincerely, and the outcome will be what He wills, and what He wills will always be better for you, even if it takes time to understand. That shift in focus releases you from constant stress. You try, you do your best, and then you leave the rest to Him with a calm heart. Sometimes calmness through faith is seen most clearly in those facing the toughest situations. You meet people battling illness, loss, poverty, and yet they radiate a peace that amazes everyone around them. They are not free from pain, but they are free from despair. That peace does not come from ignoring reality. It comes from accepting reality with faith in Allah's mercy and wisdom. Their calmness itself becomes a lesson for others that when your heart is connected to the divine, the world cannot break you. Another reason faith brings calm is that it connects you to the eternal. Many of our anxieties come from treating this world as if it is everything. We panic over losses, we despair over delays, we fear endings. But faith reminds you that this world is temporary and what truly matters is the next life. Suddenly, setbacks lose some of their sting because you know they are not permanent. Suddenly, losses do not feel like the end because you know you will meet again in the hereafter. This perspective alone softens the sharpness of pain and replaces panic with patience. Faith also brings calm by teaching gratitude. When you believe, you see every small blessing as a sign of Allah's care. The air you breathe, the food you eat, the family that surrounds you, all of these remind you that you are never abandoned. Gratitude itself soothes the heart because it turns your gaze from what is missing to what is present. And when you remember Allah's promise to increase those who are grateful, your hope grows, and with it, your inner calm. Ultimately, faith transforms the way you walk through life. Without faith, every challenge feels like chaos, every delay feels like injustice, every hardship feels like abandonment. With faith, every challenge feels like a lesson, every delay feels like protection, every hardship feels like a path to reward. This transformation is not theoretical, it is lived in the heart of the believer. And it is this transformation that brings true calmness, the kind of calm that no amount of money, no worldly power, and no temporary escape can provide. Life will always bring its share of challenges. There will be moments when your mind races, when your heart feels heavy, when you worry about what has been and what is to come. But remember this, overthinking does not solve tomorrow, it only steals today. The one who created you, the one who sustains you, the one who has written your story, he has never left you and he never will. Do your part, take your steps, but then place your trust in the Almighty. Let go of the burden that was never yours to carry. Replace your fears with faith, your complaints with gratitude, your doubts with remembrance, and your restlessness with prayer. With every hardship, ease has already been promised. With every tear, reward has already been written. And with every moment of patience, your rank with Allah is being raised. So walk through this life with a heart that trusts. Breathe deeply, smile sincerely, and remind yourselves, if it's meant for me, it will come to me. If it is not meant for me, then it was never mine. Stop overthinking, start trusting. And know with certainty that Allah's plan is always better than your own.